When Prince Charles becomes King of England, this is what will happen to William and Kate. For more than 65 years, Queen Elizabeth II has been the monarch of the UK. But when she dies, her son Charles will take over the throne. And it will leave Prince William and Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, in a new position. Prince Charles was born at Buckingham Palace in London on November 14, 1948. He is the eldest child of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. The couple, who married 1 year before welcoming Charles, are also parents to Prince Andrew and Prince Edward and Anne, Princess Royal. Charles was privately educated before studying at Cambridge's Trinity College. His time at the university made him the first heir to the throne to obtain a bachelor's degree. The prince then went to the Royal Air Force College and the Royal Naval College. Between 1971 and 1976, Charles completed a tour of duty as part of the Royal Navy. The royal has also been heavily involved in charity work and founded the Prince's Trust in 1976. The organization helps children and adults who are having a difficult time at school or are unemployed. Charles started a relationship with Lady Diana Spencer in 1980. He had previously dated Camilla Parker Bowles, who was deemed an unsuitable bride. So the prince soon got engaged to Diana and the couple married at St. Paul's Cathedral on July 29, 1981. Less than 1 year later, Diana gave birth to her first child with Charles. Prince William entered the world in June 21, 1982. And 2 years after that, the couple welcomed another son, Prince Harry, on September 15, 1984. But before long, cracks began to appear in Charles and Diana's marriage. And the prince admitted that when their relationship had become irreparable, he had started an affair with his former girlfriend, Camilla. Charles and Diana separated in 1992 and divorced 4 years later. Just 1 year later, Diana died in a car accident in Paris. She was 36 years old at the time of her death. Charles traveled to France after his ex-wife died to transport her body back to the UK. After the end of his marriage to the late Princess Diana, Charles and Camilla reignited their relationship. They confirmed their engagement in February 2005 and married in a civil ceremony that April. Camilla was given the title of the Duchess of Cornwall upon their nuptials. Throughout his adult life, Charles has carried out duties on behalf of the royal family and the Commonwealth. He has also developed charities that focus on the environment, youth and education. And as well as being a dedicated environmentalist, Charles is interested in architecture. But Charles would not have been first in line to the throne at all if a shocking decision had not occurred at the palace many decades ago. Edward VIII was made the monarch in 1936 after the death of his father, King George V. However, he was in love with an American divorcee named Wallis Simpson. The Church of England and the UK government did not approve of the union between the king and his proposed bride. So in an incredible move, he decided to abdicate the throne. Edward VIII announced that he would be stepping down after less than a year as sovereign. I have found it impossible to carry on the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge the duties of king, as I would wish to do, without the help and support of the woman I love, Edward VIII declared at the time. The decision meant that his younger brother would take the throne in his place. So the Duke of York became King George VI and Edward went on to marry Simpson the next year. When her father acceded to the throne, the future Queen Elizabeth II was 10 years old, and her younger sister, Margaret, was aged 6. Elizabeth then became the heir apparent, and she was just 25 years old when she was made the monarch upon the death of her father in 1952. Although her father's health had been declining for a while, it was clear that Elizabeth was surprised by his death. At the time of his passing, she was in Kenya with her husband, Prince Philip. The couple had spent a night at the Treetops Hotel in Aberdare National Park. According to Time, Elizabeth was in high spirits over her tremendous experience, and vowed to come again soon with her father. The Queen stated that her dad would love it there. And a BBC reporter has claimed that just that morning, she had been talking about her father, and proudly describing how bravely he'd stood up to his illness. When Elizabeth became queen, that meant Charles took her place as heir. He was just 3 years old at the time. While she has since become the longest reigning monarch in British history, he in turn is the longest serving heir. Charles turned 70 in November 2018, and it was noted that he is the oldest heir apparent. This means that when he becomes king, he will be the oldest monarch to be crowned in the history of the British royal family. Previously, this title was held by William IV, who was nearly 65 years old when he ascended the throne in 1830. Because of his age, it has been suggested that Charles could choose to abdicate the throne in favor of his son, William. And it seems that this would be a popular decision, at least as far as the British public is concerned. A Statisticharts survey for the week found that almost half of Britons would prefer to see William become king in Charles's place. However, it looks like Charles has every intention of taking over the throne from his mother. And the Queen also appears to be preparing Charles to become monarch by relegating some of her duties to him. For the past 2 years, he has placed a wreath for Remembrance Day in her place. The Queen is now 92 years old and has reigned for nearly 67 years. And when she dies, a series of plans will be put into effect. The operation has been in place since the 1960s and is known as London Bridge is Down. Sir Christopher Gite, the Queen's private secretary, will notify the Prime Minister before the public is told. He must then tell the 36 nations of the Commonwealth and the 15 countries that the monarch rules over. When the news is made public, pilots will announce it on all flights, and flags will be put to half-mast. It is also expected that people at work in the UK will be sent home. And banks and stock exchanges will be closed. After the death of George VI, the BBC ceased showing comedy of any kind on television until his funeral had passed. The Queen's body will be at Westminster Hall for 4 days to allow the public to mourn her. Then she will likely be buried at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, where her parents were both laid to rest. Both the day of the funeral and the day of the coronation will be made public holidays. Charles will immediately become king and will make a statement on the day of his mother's death. He could choose to use any of his given names, which also include Arthur, Philip and George, as ruler. Otherwise, he will be known as King Charles III and his wife will be Queen Camilla. When George VI died, and Elizabeth became queen, Charles was made the Duke of Cornwall. However, he has several other titles that he was given at the time. These include Duke of Rothesay, Lord of the Isles, Earl of Carrick, Baron of Renfrew, Earl of Chester and Great Steward of Scotland. While Charles received most of his titles when his mother was crowned the Queen of England, this is not the case for all of them. The Prince of Wales is a title that has been in effect since 1301. However, it is not automatically given to heirs. The title is reserved for male heirs to the throne, and there was no Prince of Wales when George VI was king, because he only had daughters. The sovereign can choose if they wish for this to be bestowed upon their eldest son. And the Queen made Charles the Prince of Wales in 1958. Charles also receives a salary from the Duchy of Cornwall. The estate was created by Edward III in 1337 and is made up of 131,000 acres of land and properties. In addition, it includes an investment portfolio. The Duke of Cornwall receives the revenue from the estate to fund his public and private activities, including his charity work. Furthermore, it goes towards expenses of his family members, including his children and grandchildren. According to time, the duchy is always given to the eldest surviving son and heir. Similarly, there is a Duchy of Lancaster that is made up of land and properties, and this belongs to the Queen. And she additionally receives funds from the sovereign grant that is paid by the government. So when the monarch dies, there will be some major changes for the royal family and their titles. After Charles married Diana, she became the Princess of Wales. And their sons were known as Prince William of Wales and Prince Henry of Wales. However, their titles changed upon their marriages. William and his wife Kate were given the titles Duke and Duchess of Cambridge when they married in 2011. Their children are therefore known as Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis of Cambridge. And after Harry's wedding in May 2018, he and wife Meghan were made the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The couple are now expecting their first child, who will be known as Lady Mountbatten Windsor if it is a girl. And if Harry and Meghan have a boy, he will be referred to as the Earl of Dumbarton. This is one of Harry's current titles. Harry is also Baron Kilkeel, while William holds the titles of Earl of Strathern and Baron Carrickfergus. But when Charles becomes king, William will undertake new responsibilities. And his titles will change because of it. As the eldest heir to the throne once Charles is king, William will inherit the Duchy of Cornwall and become the Duke of Cornwall. The prince has already started attending duchy meetings. And he and his wife Kate are expected to be named the Prince and Princess of Wales. Royal Central Editor Charlie Proctor revealed in November 2018 that plans are underway for this transition. As per tradition, when Prince Charles does take to the throne, William and Kate will become the Prince and Princess of Wales, meaning he will take on additional duties to assist the monarch, he told the Daily Star. Just like Prince Charles is preparing to become king, William is already preparing to become Prince of Wales, ready for the duties and responsibilities he will have to take on. Proctor continued, I think it is important to say that just like his father, William is also preparing to become king. There is no chance that William will be Prince of Wales for more than 60 years. As such, he must also learn the ropes because his time on the throne may come sooner rather than later. And it's clear that the Queen believes her son is more than capable of taking on the duties that come with being the King of England. At a party she hosted for his 70th birthday, Elizabeth II gave a moving toast to Charles. Over his 70 years, Philip and I have seen Charles become a champion of conservation and the arts, a great charitable leader, a dedicated and respected heir to the throne to stand comparison with any in history, and a wonderful father, she said. The Queen added, most of all, sustained by his wife Camilla, he is his own man, passionate and creative. So this toast is to wish a happy birthday to my son, in every respect a duchy original. To you Charles. To the Prince of Wales. Thank you for watching video.